I should have gone home hours earlier. The building was already asleep, wrapped in that heavy silence that only comes after long workdays. I stayed because I thought I needed to finish everything, but I also stayed because something inside me whispered that leaving would be worse. The hall lights hummed softly. Each step echoed as if the floor were thinner than it should be. At first, the office felt normal, just another late night of reports and stale air. Then I noticed the clock on the far wall. Its hands were moving, but the room felt stuck, almost like the moment refused to pass. I looked away, trying to steady my breath. Caffeine and stress, I told myself, nothing more. But the stillness kept growing. It was as if the office were waiting for me to notice something. I heard a faint shuffle behind me, a soft drag, like fabric grazing the carpet. I turned. No one. Only rows of empty desks staring back, their silhouettes strangely tall in the dim light. I sat again, forcing myself to focus, but the pages blurred. My eyes drifted to the glass wall near the meeting rooms. A reflection stood there, still, too still. It looked like me, but it was not aligned with my body. It was a step too far back, as if watching from a safer distance. I froze. The reflection did not. Its head tilted slowly, listening to something I could not hear. I whispered a shaky greeting. A foolish instinct, maybe, but the reflection straightened, attentive. The air grew colder. My breath trembled as I stood, inching toward the corridor. The overhead lights flickered, stretching shadows across the floor. My reflection lingered behind the glass, blurred by the dim glow, yet unmistakably aware of me. I forced myself to leave. I needed the elevator, but every step felt heavier, as if the building were pulling against me. Halfway down the hall, I heard footsteps rushing behind me, too close, too eager. I did not look back. Some part of me understood I should not. I reached the elevator and pressed the call button. The doors stayed shut. Silence filled the air like a warning. Then the lights along the hall began turning off, one by one, moving toward me. I swallowed hard and stepped away. My legs felt unsteady, but I moved. Far behind, in the last glowing strip of light, I saw a shape step into view, thin, familiar. My reflection. It was no longer behind the glass. I backed into a corner, breath shaking, heart rattling in my ribs. The elevator finally chimed. Its soft sound felt almost kind. I stepped in and pushed the door button again and again, begging it to close. As the gap narrowed, I saw the figure approaching, its movements smooth, deliberate, as if relieved to have found me. The doors sealed shut with a dull click. The elevator descended in absolute silence, too smooth, too steady. No cables, no motors, no sound, just a soft whisper from behind me. A voice shaped like mine, speaking words it should not know. The elevator doors opened on a floor I had never seen before, and outside, waiting with patient stillness, was something wearing my face. I used to believe silence at work was a blessing, but that was before I met her. She sat 3 desks away from mine, always arriving early, always leaving late. Her name was whispered during lunch breaks, spoken carefully, as if coworkers feared drawing her attention. I never saw her speak to anyone. She only typed, slow and steady, as though each keystroke were chosen with unsettling precision. One night, I stayed late again. Another wave of deadlines, another quiet stretch of hours, when the office lights dimmed into a soft, humming, half-dark. I thought I was alone. Then I heard typing, slow, measured, like breathing through fingertips. I turned toward her desk and saw her silhouette, rigid in the glow of her monitor. She was staring at the screen, unmoving, as if frozen mid-thought. I called her name softly. No reaction. Not even the smallest flinch. I told myself she was wearing headphones, though I did not see any. I tried returning to my work, but the typing became uneven, almost hesitant, almost mimicking my own rhythm. I typed a word. Her keys clicked. A heartbeat later, I paused. So did she. My throat tightened. I stood carefully, trying not to scrape my chair against the floor. Her head turned toward me. Not all the way, just enough. Enough for me to see the side of her face glowing pale in the monitor light. Her expression was blank, but her eyes were open too wide, as if she had forgotten how to blink. I asked if she was all right. The silence pressed against the walls. Only the faint hum of the air vents replied. Then she smiled. It did not reach her eyes. Her hands hovered above the keyboard, waiting. "You should not be here," she whispered. Her voice cracked like old paper. I stepped back, pulse rising, but she did not move, only watched. The overhead lights flickered, dipping the room into a hazy twilight. Her silhouette stretched across the desks, thin and long, bending in unnatural angles. I tried to leave, but she stood, almost floating upright, her motions too soft, too slow. Her smile widened just enough to hurt. "You stayed," she whispered. "You heard me." She took one silent step forward, then another. Her shadow crawled along the wall beside me. I rushed toward the exit, but she matched my pace without sound, gliding rather than walking. Her feet barely touched the carpet. Something brushed my shoulder, cold, intentional. I spun around. She was still several steps away, perfectly still, hands poised as if mid-typing, but her shadow was much closer. I stumbled into the stairwell and slammed the door behind me. The echo traveled down the concrete steps like a warning. For a moment, I thought I was safe. Then I heard typing again, soft, measured, coming from the stairwell below. The lights dimmed, and the sound grew louder, climbing toward me. I bolted down the stairs, heart beating unevenly, breath breaking apart. The typing followed, skipping steps in impossible bursts. When I reached the exit level, I shoved the door open and stumbled into the lobby. The typing stopped. I turned back. The stairwell was empty. Only a single office chair sat near the bottom step, slowly turning as if someone had just risen from it. The next morning, her desk was clean. No computer, no folders, no sign she had ever worked there. But sometimes, late at night, when I try to finish my tasks in an empty office, I hear typing again, slow, measured, waiting for me to answer. I worked late again, long after the rest of the building had emptied into the night. The quiet felt heavier than usual, as though the walls were listening. I headed toward the elevators, clutching my bag a little tighter than I wanted to admit. All I wanted was to get home, breathe fresh air, forget the dim hum of fluorescent lights. The elevator arrived with a soft chime, too soft, almost cautious. I stepped inside and pressed the lobby button. The doors slid shut. The elevator did not move. For a moment, only the dull hum of electricity filled the small metal space. Then the lights flickered, dipping the cabin into a cold wash of half-dark. I pressed the button again. Another chime, still nothing. A thin vibration moved up the railing beneath my hand, as if the elevator were breathing slowly, trying not to be noticed. I exhaled and tried the open door button. The doors obeyed instantly, sliding apart in complete silence. I stepped out, into the same floor I had just left. Same hallway, same dim glow, same distant flicker near the emergency exit sign. Maybe I had been distracted, maybe tired, maybe I had pressed the wrong floor. I shook my head and stepped back inside. I pressed the lobby button again, more firmly this time. The doors closed. The elevator began to descend. A slow glide, smoother than any ride I had taken before. Then it stopped, far too soon. The doors opened to the same hallway again. The air felt colder here, still, stale, like a sealed room that had been shut for years. I turned around slowly. The elevator's interior looked different in the hallway light, darker, almost deeper. I forced myself to step inside again, though every instinct begged me not to. I pressed the ground button, held it, begged it. This time, the doors closed more slowly, as if they were reluctant to shut me inside. The elevator dropped sharply, a sudden, impossible lurch that forced a gasp from my throat. Then stillness. The doors opened. Same hallway, but something had changed. The lights were dimmer now, the carpet darker, almost damp-looking. Far down the corridor, a shadow stood near the corner, patient and tall. I took a step back instantly, heart stumbling in my chest. The shadow moved, not toward me, it simply leaned forward, like someone trying to see me more clearly. I slammed the door button. The elevator tried to close, but the doors shuddered halfway, trembling like frightened lungs. The shadow leaned farther, unnaturally far, its head tilting past its own shoulder. I felt a small, cold breath at the back of my neck, the kind of presence that arrives before a whisper. The elevator jerked, snapping upward without warning. The floor disappeared from beneath my feet, and I clung to the railing as the cabin shook like a trapped animal. Then stillness again. The doors opened. The hallway was brighter now, unnervingly so. Too bright for this hour. Too bright for the silence that swallowed everything around me. At the far end stood a figure facing the wall, hands resting gently against it, as if listening through the plaster. The same shape, the same patient height. I did not move, neither did it. The elevator's lights dimmed. A soft whine echoed in the cabin, rising like a quiet plea. I stepped forward, not because I wanted to, but because the elevator behind me seemed to push something outward, urging me into the hall. The figure tilted its head, slow, careful, listening. I whispered a shaky hello, though I did not expect an answer. The figure's shoulders rose with a slow breath. Then its hands slid down the wall, fingers dragging lightly against the surface, like they were searching for a door I could not see. I took a single step back. The elevator doors opened wider, though I had not touched the button. The figure turned slightly, just enough for me to see that there was no face, only smooth, pale skin reflecting the harsh hallway light. I stumbled into the elevator, slamming my hand across every button I could reach. The cabin shuddered, lights pulsing weakly. The doors took too long to close. Just before they sealed, the figure stepped closer, not walking, simply appearing nearer each time the lights flickered. When the doors finally shut, its faceless head was inches away from the gap. The elevator plunged downward, faster than any machine should, humming with a strange, low tone that vibrated through my bones. Then it stopped. The doors opened. I was in the lobby, bright, normal, safe. I ran without looking back. But now, whenever I step into any elevator, office, mall, hospital, even my apartment building, the doors hesitate for a moment longer than they should, just long enough to remind me that somewhere, one floor above or below, there is a hallway waiting, with a silent, patient figure listening through the walls. The building had a conference area on the upper floor, a place people avoided after late meetings. The hallway leading to it always felt colder than the rest of the office, like the air had been sitting untouched for too long. I was finishing a report when an alert popped up on my screen. A meeting reminder for a room I had never used. The title simply read, "Assigned Session." No organizer, no details, only a time window that had already started. At first, I thought it was a glitch. Then I noticed the room number. A room I had never seen on the directory map. A room that should not exist. I tried dismissing the alert, but it refused to close. The screen dimmed slightly, as if nudged by someone standing behind me. A soft knock echoed from the hallway. A gentle, polite rhythm. I stood slowly and walked toward the corridor, telling myself it was just cleaning staff, or maybe a coworker working late like me. But the hall was empty. Only the distant echo of the knock lingered, drifting toward the conference area upstairs. Another alert appeared on my phone. Same message, same non-existent room. I tried ignoring it, but something in the building shifted. A faint vibration under the carpet, a low murmur in the vents, almost like the place wanted me to go. I climbed the stairs, each step strangely muted beneath my feet. The upper hallway lights buzzed faintly, flickering in slow, steady intervals that matched my heartbeat. At the end of the corridor, a door stood slightly open. No sign, no label, just a sliver of darkness peering out. The cold air rolled through the opening, brushing my skin like a cautious hand. I whispered a hesitant hello. No response. I pushed the door open wider. Inside was a long conference table, chairs arranged neatly around it. Everything looked untouched, as though waiting for a meeting that had never ended. A single overhead light glowed too brightly, washing the room in a pale, unnatural we. My phone chimed again. A message this time. "Take your seat." I nearly dropped the phone, but against all reason, against all common sense, I stepped farther into the room. The door clicked shut behind me. The overhead light hummed softly, and the shadows around the chairs began to stretch, lengthening across the carpet like thin arms reaching for each other. Something shifted at the far end of the table. Not a person, more like an outline, a faint silhouette seated perfectly still, hands folded as if in patient expectation. I blinked. The silhouette did not fade, it grew sharper. I tried backing away, but my feet would not move. The room felt heavier, like breathing inside a glass box. The silhouette tilted its head, acknowledging me. A soft, scraping sound came from behind me, a chair sliding backward on its own, stopping gently against the back of my legs. An invitation. I whispered that I should leave, that I did not belong here. My voice cracked, sounding too small for the room. The overhead light flickered once, then again, and the silhouette at the end of the table shifted forward, as if leaning in to listen more closely. My phone buzzed. "Sit." The word pulsed on the screen, bright and insistent. The air tightened around me. Not painfully, just firmly, like invisible hands resting on my shoulders. I lowered myself into the chair. The table's surface felt cold beneath my palms, almost wet. For a long moment, nothing moved. Only the hum of the light filled the room. Then I heard breathing, not mine, slow, steady, too controlled, coming from every corner of the room at once. The silhouette began rising from its seat, unfolding like a shadow stretched by a growing flame. It did not walk, it simply lengthened upward, towering, the air bending slightly around it. My chair jerked closer to the table. Another message flashed on my phone. "Do not look away," but I did. I shut my eyes, refusing to see the shape looming over me. The breathing stopped, silence thickened, clinging to my skin. When I opened my eyes again, the room was dark. The overhead light had gone out. Only the sliver of hallway light glowed beneath the door. The silhouette was gone. Every chair around the table faced me, all of them. I stood shakily, trying to reach the door, but the handle would not turn. Not until something on the other side released it. When the door finally opened, the hallway was flooded with normal office light. Warm, ordinary, but the doorway behind me stayed cold as a deep cellar. I walked away without looking back. I never returned to that floor again. But sometimes, late in the evening, a meeting alert still appears on my screen. The same room, the same message, and the same gentle knock from somewhere upstairs, asking if I will attend. My desk had always been the same. Same chair, same worn keyboard, same faint scratch on the left side of the surface. A tiny imperfection I used to run my finger over during long calls. But one night, after everyone had gone home, something felt wrong. I stepped into the office, expecting the familiar layout, the comforting clutter of everyday work. Instead, my desk looked different. The scratch was gone. The keyboard was newer. The chair sat at a strange angle, as if someone taller had been using it. I checked the nameplate. It was blank. A quiet unease settled beneath my ribs. Maybe cleaning staff had moved things around. Maybe I was just tired. I sat down. The chair creaked softly, a sound too delicate for the old frame I knew so well. Then I noticed the drawer. My drawer had always stuck slightly, catching on the metal rail before it slid open. This one glided silently, too smooth, too eager. Inside were papers I had never seen. Names I did not recognize. Schedules written in a script, unlike any handwriting I had ever encountered. Thin letters, angled sharply, almost like scratches made by someone learning how to write for the first time. I whispered to myself that someone must have requisitioned a new desk for me, but no one had told me, and the silence around me felt too attentive, as if the office itself were waiting for my reaction. I stood and looked around. Every desk seemed slightly out of place. Not wrong, just shifted, as if the building had been subtly rearranged while no one was watching. The overhead lights flickered once, bathing the office in a pale, washed-out glow, and for a moment, I thought I saw someone sitting at my old desk across the room. A figure hunched forward, motionless, barely lit, almost blending into the dark. I blinked. It was gone. I forced myself to breathe evenly, to ground my thoughts. This was just exhaustion. Too many late nights, too many quiet hours spent in a place that never fully slept. But when I turned back to my desk, something waited on the surface. A note. I had not heard anyone approach, had not seen any movement, yet the note sat directly on top of the papers inside the drawer, as if it had been placed there just seconds earlier. The handwriting was the same thin, angled script. "This is yours now," my throat tightened. I stepped back, heart thudding unevenly. Another flicker of the lights, longer this time. When the glow returned, every nameplate on the desks had been wiped clean. Every single one. The office looked abandoned and newly claimed all at once, like a home left open for something else to move in. I reached for my phone, but the screen remained black, no matter how many times I pressed the button. Even the emergency lights along the exit sign dimmed, as though hiding their presence. A faint shuffle came from the far corner of the room, the kind of sound made by someone standing up after waiting too long. I tried to speak, only a brittle whisper escaped. The shuffle grew closer, soft, unhurried steps along the carpet. I backed toward the door, but the room seemed to lengthen, stretching the distance between me and the exit. Each step I took felt smaller than it should have been, swallowed by the strange, creeping stillness. Then I heard the drawer of the strange desk slide open behind me, a slow, smooth pull, too smooth. I turned. Something was sitting in my chair. Not a person, not exactly. Its shape was hunched, head bowed, hands placed neatly on the desk surface, like a worker waiting for instructions. But its form shifted slightly, like a shadow trying to decide what shape to hold. I whispered that it could keep the desk, that I did not want it anymore. The shadow tilted its head, listening. Then it raised one hand and pointed to the drawer, a gesture both patient and polite. Against my will, I stepped toward it. A cold breeze circled my ankles, guiding me closer, like a gentle push from something that did not want to be ignored. Inside the drawer, among the strange papers, lay a cracked mirror pane. In the reflection, the desk behind me was empty, but I could feel the thing still sitting there, breathing softly, waiting for me to accept something I did not understand. A faint scrape against the carpet made me turn. The shadows stood now. Taida closer. My phone vibrated suddenly, screen flickering to life for a brief second. A message appeared. Sit. My knees buckled. I stumbled into the chair, breath shaking, skin icy. The shadow leaned over me, its form settling into the faint glow of the overhead lights, as if the building itself were shaping it from darkness. Then it whispered, a soft, steady sound, like pages turning in an empty room. I do not know what it said, or if it used words at all. But when the lights flickered again, the shadow was gone, and the nameplate on the desk now had my name carved into it. Not printed, carved, deep and uneven, as though etched by an unsteady hand. I left the office without looking back, but now, whenever I return, the desk is waiting for me. Drawer half open, chair pulled out, lights dimmed just enough to shape a familiar silhouette in the corner of my eye. And sometimes, when I sit, I feel a cold breath on my shoulder, as if something is still leaning close, reminding me that the desk is mine now, whether I want it or not.